So I don't have a 3-person audience. I just have my grandma, unfortunately, because the rest of my family is not home. But I'm sure all of you can name someone that has torn their ACL. When I was in high school, I knew quite a few people that suffered from the injury. It's become a really common injury, unfortunately, in many athletes, male, female, and across all sports. Recently, though, I would say in like the past 2 decades, a lot of studies have been coming out that women are actually more likely to tear their ACL than their male counterparts. Factors like menstruation, hormones, and lack of injury prevention have all been attributed to this. Silvers Granelli actually in 2021 investigated this and found that women are 3 to 8 times more likely to tear their ACL. She also found that the rate of ACL tears is only expected to increase every single year. So she estimated that it would raise about 2 to 3% each year, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you think of all the athletes in the world, 2 to 3% more of them tearing their ACL every year is a staggering number. She also found that being a multi-sport athlete raises the risk. However, it wasn't clear if this was because of more opportunity to tear your ACL or if it's because of the actual biomechanics behind it. She also found that fatigue does not play a role. This is something that was discussed a lot in early research, that you were just tired and your muscles weren't able to support your knee, and that's why it happened. But she found that this doesn't seem to be the case. Horan and other authors in 2022 actually found that most of the ACL tears sustained are non-contact injuries. So shit just means like no one's bumping into me, no one's hitting me to put my knee in that position. It's just like I'm running and I tear my ACL, or I jump and I land and I tear my ACL. Some of the potential causes that Elliott, Goldberg, and Cooler examined in 2010 include a lot of the ones that you would guess, like mental health problems, poor diet, lack of sleep, early specialization, substance use and abuse, and biomechanical issues. That just kind of means like you're weak or your muscles aren't strong enough to support your knee and you're going out and pushing yourself too hard and tearing your ACL. Early specialization just kind of means like I'm 4 years old and my parents are like, you're only going to play lacrosse, and they're only training you in that specific sport, only doing workouts for that specific sport. But in 2019, Holtman and Ackerman actually found 2 factors that haven't previously been discussed, including hormonal and metabolic components like menstruation and birth control use. This is kind of something that's been coming to the forefront of research. I believe that they were one of the first ones to kind of bring this factor to light. It's recently been found that when you're on your period, you're 60% more likely to tear your ACL. The factor that I hadn't heard about was birth control use. They found that no matter what it was, the pill, the IUD, or even like the implant, any of those actually raise your risk of tearing your ACL as well. And obviously men don't suffer from that. So some of the implications this could have is really just the widespread of women's sports not growing. Recently, we've had a lot of growth in the WNBA with Caitlin Clark becoming almost a household name. And this could be difficult to continue if we don't have girls growing up playing sports, which could happen as a result of increased ACL tears. In 2021, a few doctors from the NBA, including Tramer and Kalali, actually found that players return to play less no matter when they tore their ACL. So if you tore your ACL in high school, you're statistically playing less games than your colleagues who never tore their ACL. So this was examined in the WNBA, and return to play just means like I got hurt playing my sport and I don't continue to play it, or I don't come back 100%. So that, like I said, they found that no matter when you tore it, you're playing in less games than your colleagues who didn't. And this just, again, contributes to women's sports not being widespread. Girls will be scared to exercise. They'll have a fear of re-injury. And kind of what can be done about this, there was research that found that IPPs could be successful. They're called injury prevention programs. Think about like physical therapy workouts, like specific workouts to do. However, they weren't really put into widespread use. And if you don't follow them to a T, they're not effective. But again, if we did put these in widespread use and you did follow them to a T, theoretically they would be very effective. And obviously combating risk factors can help, like getting enough sleep, having a balanced diet, and not specializing in early age. However, like I said, there are risk factors that you can't help, like your hormones, your metabolism, and your period. So this is, like I said, something that's really on the forefront of research, and that if you're interested, I definitely would recommend keeping up on. It's something really popular in sports medicine that, with the rise of the WNBA, is really being investigated right now. So thank you for your time and have a great day.